And so he walked straight to my table. I stood up and it was like a little stare down match on some like,
wow.
And I won. And then he just pointed at the old girl like, yo, get this dude. It was the 2 ways then. Remember the 2 ways? Anybody with me? 2 ways.
Yeah, I had a 2-way.
Stay with me. He's like, yo, it was, you get this dude my 2-way number. Well, I didn't call him the next day because I'm busy.
Wow, what a game.
Well, I wasn't busy. But you don't know. Don't nobody know. You don't know. You know. So, long story short, I remember, I was like, I waited. Next thing you know, Club New York happened. I'm like, dang, I done waited too late to hit.
All the stuff that you hear about Puff, and everybody got a story.
Yeah.
But it ain't official until you see the guy with the umbrella.
Kim Porter tragically passed away on November 15th, 2018, and now Fonzworth Bentley might be holding on to powerful truths about her final days. Truths that could change everything. There's a reason why Fonzworth Bentley has always felt like more than just a background character in Diddy's story. He wasn't just the guy holding the umbrella in the blazing sun, he was there. In the private jets, the closed-door meetings, the hotel suites where chaos allegedly unfolded.
All the stuff that you hear about Puff, and everybody got a story.
Yeah.
But it ain't official until you see the guy with the umbrella.
Fonzworth Bentley.
Fonzworth.
I know Fonzworth.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, everybody else can say what they want. If Fonzworth come walking in to court with the umbrella, and he's twirling it, and whatever comes out of his mouth,
yeah,
you know it's a true story.
And now, as Diddy's empire begins to shake under the weight of multiple lawsuits and testimonies, Bentley's name is suddenly back in the conversation, but not for the reasons you might think. A resurfaced message, cryptic quotes, and mentions in disturbing legal documents have fans and investigators alike wondering, was Bentley just a witness to Diddy's darker moments, or was he part of them? It all starts with a story Bentley once told, a seemingly lighthearted memory of his first real encounter with Diddy. It was 1999, and Diddy was in the middle of his first major legal battle over a nightclub shooting. Bentley, then just Derek Watkins from Atlanta, had been managing at 11 Madison Park when he ran into Diddy at a soul food spot. What followed was a surreal moment. A silent face-off, followed by Diddy pointing at his assistant and saying, "Yo, get this dude my 2-way number." Bentley didn't call right away, but when he finally did, the connection was made. From there, Bentley became a fixture, not just in Diddy's public life, but in his inner circle. He was known for his polished appearance, his bow ties, and his quiet, almost philosophical presence. But now, in light of everything coming out, people are starting to wonder what he really saw, and what he might have been involved in. Because here's the thing. In recent weeks, as explosive lawsuits have rocked Diddy's world, Bentley's name has quietly resurfaced in a way that's left many people speechless. According to court filings from a man named Randy Pittman, Bentley wasn't just a witness to alleged abuse, he was allegedly involved. The lawsuit claims that Bentley lured Pittman into a business relationship through Diddy's Sean John fashion brand, and then allegedly facilitated an environment that led to disturbing, unlawful acts. The most horrifying part? The suit alleges that 2 underage girls, aged just 13 and 14, were also involved, and that alcohol and pills were allegedly provided before acts of SA occurred. The documents say this happened under threat and manipulation, and that both Diddy and Bentley were involved. That's not just a rumor. That's an official legal complaint. Now, it's important to say this clearly, these are allegations. Nothing has been proven in court. Bentley has not made any public statement about the lawsuit, and Diddy, of course, has denied all wrongdoing. But because of this, people are looking back at Bentley's time with Diddy through a very different lens. At one point, it seemed like Bentley had escaped the madness. He got married, moved to Atlanta, had kids, and began branding himself as a family man. But now, the past is catching up fast. And it's not just the lawsuit, it's also what former assistants have revealed in court. Their stories paint a picture of a workplace that was more like a war zone, emotionally abusive, tightly controlled, and filled with secrets. Take David James, for instance, a former assistant who described driving Diddy to a near confrontation with Suge Knight, with weapons involved. Or Capricorn Clark, who testified about being forced to travel with Diddy under threats, including a visit to Kid Cudi's house that ended in panic and fear. And then there's the story of Diddy's jet, where an assistant allegedly heard Cassie screaming behind a locked door, followed by glass shattering. These are not wild rumors. These are sworn testimonies. And throughout many of these moments, Bentley was around. He might not have spoken yet, but his presence alone is making people ask, how much did he know? That's why Bentley's recent online activity has people paying close attention. After Cassie filed her lawsuit against Diddy, a bombshell that alleged years of control, manipulation, and forced free-offs, Bentley shared a quote from Jay-Z's Grammy speech that read, "When I get nervous, I tell the truth." He added, "Might delete later, but I'ma just sit this here." That post might not have seemed like much in another context, but now it feels loaded, almost like a warning shot, almost like he knows something and might be getting ready to say it. Even Bentley's former fans are torn. On the one hand, many feel sympathy for him, believing he may have been another one of Diddy's victims, manipulated into silence and controlled behind the scenes. After all, other former assistants have come forward to describe similar experiences. Working 100-hour weeks, being paid less than they were worth, and being expected to manage every tiny part of Diddy's life, right down to making sure his toiletries faced the right way. But on the other hand, the lawsuit places Bentley in an incredibly dark light, one that can't just be ignored. If even a fraction of what Pittman alleges is true, then Bentley wasn't just a passive observer. He was actively involved in something horrific. And that brings us to the bigger question, what is Bentley hiding? Because if you dig deep enough, the timeline starts to look suspicious. Bentley rose quickly in the early 2000s. He wasn't just Diddy's assistant, he made appearances on Outkast albums, was in music videos, co-wrote songs for Kanye West, and even starred in Barack Obama's Yes We Can video. By the mid-2000s teens, he had all but disappeared from the entertainment world. And this disappearance, it happened right around the time when whispers started growing about what really went on behind closed doors in Diddy's empire. For years, people speculated that Bentley had been forced into a romantic or sexual relationship with Diddy, claims that have never been confirmed, but have lingered like smoke around a fire. Bentley never addressed them directly, but his retreat from the spotlight spoke volumes. Why leave such a thriving career behind? Why walk away from fame just as he was becoming a name of his own? The speculation gets even thicker when you look at how the assistants were treated behind the scenes. According to multiple lawsuits, they weren't just errand runners. They were allegedly instrumental in setting up free-offs, transporting people, setting the mood with lighting and baby oil, and even delivering gifts to soothe victims after incidents. Cassie specifically stated that after she was allegedly assaulted, Diddy's security and assistant cried when they saw her condition. If Bentley was around during this time, and if he was as close to Diddy as people say, then what exactly did he witness? What was he a part of? And most importantly, why has he been so quiet? One theory that's gaining momentum is that Bentley was silenced, either by fear, by loyalty, or by some kind of behind-the-scenes arrangement. But even if that's the case, that silence may not last much longer. Bentley's connection to Kim Porter in particular is where things start to get really tense. See, after Kim's unexpected and still controversial passing in 2018, many close to her began to speak in cryptic tones about what she might have endured. Former insiders hinted that she had been keeping a diary. Others suggested she had been planning to go public about what she'd seen during her years with Diddy. And then, just like that, she was gone. Officially, it was ruled as lobar pneumonia. But to this day, many believe there's more to the story. And Fonzworth Bentley, he was one of the very few people who spent real time with both Kim and Diddy.
Y'all don't understand, look at Bentley and all these people. Come on, man. Now that we know the monster, man, you carry the man umbrella. You was the man. I watched this man disrespect you every chance he got. Talk to you like his bitch. He talked to Harv like his bitch. He talked to D-Dot like his bitch. He talked to all them niggas like they his bitches. And now that I learned that they really were his bitches, that's why I got so much respect for Gene. Because a lot of them niggas is scared to do what Gene doing.
People believe he knows something. Capricorn Clark, another former assistant who worked closely with Diddy and Kim, made a string of emotional posts after Cassie's lawsuit dropped. In one of them, she cited Proverbs 4:14 and warned against walking down the path of the wicked. She also posted, "They will skin you and wear you, baby girl." Kim was the only person who didn't switch up. That statement alone stirred deep speculation. Clark followed it up with a post where she seemingly referred to Diddy as the devil and said that for 11 years she endured people's allegiance to evil. Again, no names were mentioned directly, but the timing and the tone were clear. It wasn't a stretch to assume she was speaking about what she experienced working under Diddy's regime. And this brings us back to Bentley. Because if Capricorn, who was visibly shaken and vocal, is telling even fragments of the truth, then what is Bentley holding back? If he was in the room when some of these events took place, or at least adjacent to them, then isn't it time for him to finally say something? Many think he's on the verge. His cryptic online messages, the resurfacing of his old interviews, and the timing of the lawsuits all seem to point in one direction. Bentley might be one of the final pieces in this puzzle, maybe even the one the prosecutors are saving for a final blow. But others fear that he won't speak at all, either because he's complicit or because he's protecting something deeper. And here's where things take an even more uncomfortable turn. While Bentley moved on from Diddy's world and rebuilt a new life, complete with a wife, kids, and a new image, that past is starting to bleed into the present. He's still named in the Pittman lawsuit. And while he hasn't been charged with a crime, being listed as someone involved in alleged exploitation of minors is not something that can be brushed aside. If the courts decide to dig deeper into Bentley's role, it could destroy everything he's built since leaving Diddy's circle. Still, some fans are holding out hope that Bentley will finally speak for himself. They want to hear his truth, in his own words, because right now, he's more of a symbol than a person. To some, he's a victim of the music industry's darkness. To others, he's a quiet accomplice, keeping secrets to protect himself. And then there's a third group, the ones who think Bentley might actually be both. A man who was once bright-eyed and clean-cut, thrown into a world he wasn't ready for, and then forced to either sink or follow orders. And if you listen to Bentley's older interviews, the picture gets more complex. He often described being overwhelmed by the culture shock of stepping into Diddy's world. He talked about not feeling like he belonged, about trying to find ways to stay grounded. He once said, "I realized that these people don't know who I am. I could be anybody. A designer, a philosopher." That line hits differently now. It sounds like someone trying to keep hold of an identity while being swallowed by something much bigger and much darker than they expected. But here's the thing. The time for cryptic quotes and vague Instagram captions is over. Diddy is facing multiple legal battles. Allegations of trafficking, SCA, manipulation, and abuse are coming at him from all angles. And Bentley's name has been pulled into the storm whether he likes it or not. If he has the power to clear his name, or to confirm what so many others have risked everything to expose, then staying silent starts to look more like protection than healing, more like complicity than trauma. And let's not forget the real victims here, the people who say they were exploited, silenced, and broken by the culture that existed within Diddy's inner circle. Cassie, Capricorn, David James, Randy Pittman, and many others. If Bentley truly went through what they went through, then he should be standing with them, not off to the side, not hiding behind bow ties and Bible verses, but front and center, speaking his truth and, if necessary, facing the consequences. Because here's the cold reality. Silence can protect the guilty just as much as it can shield the traumatized. And as more stories come to light, the people are watching. Fans, investigators, media, and maybe even a jury someday. Bentley may think he left the darkness behind when he walked away from Diddy's world, but as we've seen with all the recent lawsuits, what happens in the dark has a funny way of coming to light, eventually. So, what do you think? Is Fonzworth Bentley another one of Diddy's casualties? A man who got in too deep and disappeared to survive? Or is he part of the system that's now finally being brought to its knees? Do you believe he'll speak up? Or will his silence echo even louder as more victims come forward? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Was Bentley an insider with secrets, or just another pawn in a dangerous game? If you liked this video and want to stay updated on all the latest developments in this story, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. The story's far from over, and we'll be here to break it down every step of the way.